All right. We will begin our February 25th Board of Education meeting. Please let the record show that all board members are present this evening, and I will turn it over to Chief Communications Officer, Mr. Stephen Hall.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. Tonight, we are pleased to have joining us a group of student entrepreneurs representing Pershing Middle School. These students are led by their teacher, Miss Morgan Thomas, and they operate the Pershing Perk Coffee Company. Please join me in welcoming students Isabel Kaufman, Ian Duarte, Hudson Hines, Clark Kirshner, Aiden Sanders, Annie Tiemann, and their teacher, Ms. Thomas. So you may have recognized the coffee business from a recent reel that was posted on our social media accounts. The coffee cart business helps them develop pre-employment skills like customer service and teamwork as they take coffee orders, they make custom drinks, and they deliver them to our Pershing teachers and staff. According to Ms. Thomas, these are the hardest working students she knows. We are honored to have them with us tonight, and we would also like to recognize any other members of the Pershing family who are present. Please stand, and if you are here to support these students tonight. And at this time, if you're able, we invite you to join members of the Pershing Perk Coffee team as they lead our Pledge of Allegiance. Students, whenever you're ready, please lead our pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
When I don't see the card, I don't see my pen.
I know, we should have brought you one.
Place 14.
You have to come to Pershing to see us.
We got Annie.
Do I need to be on?
Okay, sure. Stay right here. Okay, yes. All right, let me just three. Look right here, Miss Three.
Sorry. You're good.
Yes, cheese. Wait, one second. One more cheese.
You say cheese. Burger. Great
I just want to mention the social media video that features the Pershing Perk Coffee Company has generated more than 1.2 million views. That is what we call a viral video, so a great response to their work. We'll continue this evening with honoring excellence by recognizing our Boys and Girls Club award winners. Earlier this month, the Boys and Girls Club of Springfield honored several outstanding youth, and two of them are here with us tonight. Ryan Bradshaw and Emily Hinkle, would you please come forward? Ryan and Emily. Emily and Ryan are Parkview High School students who were among 12 finalists for the Boys and Girls Club of Springfield's 2025 Youth of the Year Award. Emily, who is a sophomore, was the recipient of the Great Futures Award and an $8,000 scholarship from Hearts of the Ozarks Sertoma Club. Ryan, who is a senior, received the Alumni Association Award and a $2,000 scholarship from the Boys and Girls Club of Springfield Alumni Association. At our March meeting, we will recognize Central High School senior Hunter Johnson, who was named the 2025 Youth of the Year but was unable to attend this evening. Please join us in congratulating Emily and Ryan, and we invite Dr. Lathan and Ms. Kincaid forward for a photo, please. Congratulations, students. Thank you. And next, we'll recognize our Martin Luther King Jr. Day Essay Contest winners. In partnership with the Springfield NAACP, Springfield Public Schools hosts events each year that highlight the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., including an essay contest. On January 20th, 2 SPS students were named winners of the essay contest during the city's Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. Please join me in welcoming Olivia Hiley and Camilla McDonald. And I don't think Olivia was able to join us, but she is an 8th grader at Pershing Middle School, and Kamaya is a 7th grader at Jarrett Middle School. The theme of the essay contest this year was creating a beloved community. Essays were judged on their creativity, their clarity, and adherence to the theme. Please join us in congratulating Olivia and Kamaya on their outstanding essays, and we want to get a photo with Dr. Lathan and Ms. Kincaid. And now we want to recognize one of our SPS staff members who was recently selected for a prestigious leadership program. Dr. Katie Kinsinger, would you please come forward? Dr. Kinsinger, who is Director of College and Career Readiness, was one of 20 individuals nationwide selected as a 2025 National Leadership Fellow by the Association for Career and Technical Education. The goal of the program is to identify and train a cadre of leaders who will strengthen ACTE's role in developing an educated, prepared, adaptable, and competitive workforce. By participating, Dr. Kinsinger will develop her leadership skills, connect with other CTE professionals, and gain firsthand experience in policymaking process at the local, state, and federal levels. In her role at SPS, Dr. Kinsinger supports CTE programs in agriculture, engineering, health sciences, technology education, business, plus specialized programs like Go CAPS, Fly SPS, and the Alliance for Healthcare Education. Congratulations on this achievement, Dr. Kinsinger. To conclude our recognitions tonight, we are pleased to honor our February Employee of the Month for Springfield Public Schools. This recipient is a longtime member of the Harrison Elementary School team. She is a literacy advocate whose recent collaboration with well-known author and Missouri Poet Laureate resulted in a book that encourages teachers to integrate poetry into their lessons. Her practice of reading a poem each week to students inspired Mr. David Harrison to author a book, and he invited our honoree to write the foreword. Let's watch this video to learn more about Dr. Angela Knight and her passion for poetry and reading.
My name is Dr. Angela Knight, and I am a reader, I'm a learner, and I'm the librarian. We do so much. Librarians and libraries are so vital to our success. It's a treasure trove. We're the guardians of those stories.
We call it the special sauce here at Harrison. A lot of the staff have that special sauce. We don't know what it is, but Dr. Knight definitely possesses it. When I first met her, she told me she has a passion for making stories come alive to kiddos and getting their love of reading built as early learners, and I've seen that in her work. I always say we all have a calling, and when you find that calling, it no longer is a job, it's just your calling coming out and your passion is evident.
One day, Angela told me
that she had been reading a poem every week to the kids at Harrison Elementary. And that just captured me.
I had traditionally done all of my poetry work in April. That's Poetry Month. So I said, okay, we're going to pick his books and we're going to read a poem of his every single week to every single student. And we started slow, but when you do the math, it ends up being over 22,000 poetry exposures in a given year.
So what Angela had started really struck home with me, and I said, you know, there's a book in that. If we could capture that energy and that idea and make a book that would be basically for librarians, or maybe it would stimulate them to use more poetry in their classrooms.
And this is the result. This resource is one that I will use for years and years and years.
I just want to thank Dr. Knight. Her work has grown not only students, but also teachers and families. She has reading challenges that bring families together. I know that her work is far-reaching with the book that she worked with Dr. Harrison on. And I think that work just is impacting our future. So I want to thank her for that.
The library is the heart of our building. There's not a day that goes by that it's unique walking through the door. Whatever it is, I could be doing planning, I can be teaching a lesson, I can be working on technology, I can be trying to collaborate with a teacher. All of it, it's just fun.
Dr. Knight, would you come forward?
Very quickly, I wanted you to know that you each have a copy of this. Mr. Harrison signed and I signed. I hope that you're able to enjoy it just like we do. So, thank you very much. This has to be front and center.
Absolutely.
With your book? Yes.
And Dr. Knight. I just want to share a personal experience with Dr. Knight that I think exemplifies her commitment to our district. For several years, Dr. Knight was one of the first members of Team SPS to reach out to the communications team with an interest in knowing what the year's theme was. And the reason she had that interest was she wanted to incorporate the theme into all aspects of her library so that when students arrived on day one, they were introduced to the theme for Team SPS. And I think that says a lot about who she is. So,
Thank you.
and that concludes Honoring Excellence for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. All right. That moves us to item 2.04, approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion that the board approve the agenda as presented. Motion from Board Member McCoskey. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Board Member Thomas Tate. And at this time, we will vote.
Mine's not coming up yet.
Okay.
It says my connections.
Go up to the browser, click it, and enter pop along. It's usually what happens. Is it just Judy? We'll take a verbal from you.
Okay, that's fine.
How do you vote?
Aye.
Okay. Board Member Bruner votes aye.
Well, it says I'm not on the internet. How'd that get to the agenda? Here?
And the motion carries 7-0. That brings us to the public comment section of our board meeting this evening. The Board of Education welcomes public comments about the issues being discussed. The board uses this time in our meeting to listen to the public, but will not comment or engage with the public during this meeting. The board allows for up to 10 speakers per public comment period. The board president will call on the individuals in the order in which they signed up. Substitutions are not permitted. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes and will be timed by the board secretary. Comments must be acceptable for a business and family-friendly environment. Inappropriate language, gestures, or personal attacks will not be tolerated. It is inappropriate to address the board about individual students or individual staff members by name in open meetings. If you have concerns about individuals, these concerns should be addressed through the appropriate administrative supervisors, either in the schools or the district office. If you have materials you'd like to share, please place them on the tray in the podium and they will be distributed to the board members. This evening we have 4 public commenters. Our first public speaker is Ethan Dixon.
Good evening. Members of the board, fellow teachers, staff, and all other stakeholders in Springfield Public School District, thank you for allotting me time to support the efforts to restore annualized pay to the Springfield Public School system. I'm going to give you 3 reasons that this proposal is worth not only the board's consideration, but also its support. First, this proposal will show a strong investment in SPS employees. Second, annualized pay is a competitive benefit that will allow us to recruit and retain valuable employees. Finally, this proposal will show that both the board and the community value the contributions of all employees. First, bringing back annualized pay will show that SPS is able and willing to continue to invest in the success of its employees. When the snow moved through last week, I was able to spend time with my family and not worry and fret about whether I would be able to afford my bills. Extending this benefit to annualized pay will allow all fellow hourly staff to be supported throughout the calendar year and continue to give exceptional support to our students. Second, this competitive benefit will allow SPS to stay relevant in a turbulent job market. By generously offering annualized pay, SPS will prove that the district is a wonderful place to work that invests in both students and employees alike. Other large districts in the area do not offer this benefit, and annualized pay would be a major incentive to stay and work within Springfield Public School District. Finally, annualized pay will show that the district values the contributions of all its hourly employees. The board can send a clear message that current and future employees deserve the same respect as any other valued employee. The student population we work with is valuable, the contributions of our hourly employees are valuable, and Springfield Public School District has immense value because of the willingness to see and acknowledge all values of each educator, staff member, and most importantly, the students who walk through the doors of any of our fine school districts. I thank you very much for your time, and I urge you to bring this matter to a vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ethan. Our next public speaker is Laura Mullins.
Good evening. I'm Laura Mullins, President of Springfield NEA. As you know, almost 3 years ago, the SPS administration presented its decision to eliminate annualized pay for a third of SPS employees, a practice that had been in place for decades. Employees voiced their concerns through emails to the board and administration, public comments at board meetings, and to HR leaders. Yet their voices were not heard and the district moved forward. Since the retention rate for these employee groups has declined and since then, the retention rate for these employee groups has declined and hardships continue for those who remain. With a renewed interest from employees, I decided to look into the liabilities the SPS administration had given as a rationale for this decision. This change was initiated because 2 now former employees had made a call to the state auditor's office, so I began there. The auditor's office said they did contact SPS to acquire more information regarding the complaint accusations and determined there were no concerns. Next, I called the U.S. Department of Labor and spoke to the regional office, who expressed there are no concerns with this practice violating any current codes. They stated that this is, in fact, a common practice across districts in the United States. Finally, I looked into auditing practices. I was directed to the GAAP, or Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. District administrators acknowledged its auditors did not state the district violated any GAAP principles, but instead, the recommendation was to move away from annualized pay to simply avoid further confusion and complaints. I know several board members have expressed the importance of following best practices, so I think it's significant to note that MSIP 6 outlines a set of best practice standards that align with the law, policy, stakeholder feedback, and educational research. In this set of best practices, they also make several recommendations which SPS chooses not to follow. Let's not cherry pick what recommendation the district opts to follow based on what is easiest for the district, but instead what is best for the welfare of its employees. Their desire for this option is not due to a lack of education or district trainings. It's about their ability to make a decision that is best for their family. I'll end with these points. Annualized pay is still in place for the majority of SPS employees, including educators and administrators, so we know this can be done. Errors are going to happen in every payroll system. Some would even say there have been more issues with the non-annualized pay system. Giving employees the choice of how they are paid virtually eliminates the potential for any employee to hold a valid complaint on how they receive their wages. I ask that this board listen to their employees, read their emails, and vote to bring back annualized pay as an option for this passionate and dedicated workforce. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Our next public commenter is Madison Henry.
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for taking time to meet with us tonight. I appreciate your ongoing dedication to our schools, our community, and the many challenges you face in managing our district. I stand before you once again as one of many committed employees who deeply care about our work and the future of our district. I wish to bring forward the matter of annualized pay that directly impacts our financial stability and our ability to fully serve our students and community. A few months ago, I initiated a petition requesting that our district return annualized pay to its employees. At the time that annualized pay was polled, the promise of secure employment through summer school was one of the primary reasons given. However, the reality we face is quite different. The current arrangement offers only 1 month of summer school pay with a limited number of positions available. As a result, many of us are left without guaranteed work until mid-August. This 6-week time period in a job market that does not typically offer short-term opportunities, and even if some of us do find something, the pay is usually far less than we currently make. This creates a situation of uncertainty where, despite our passion and commitment, we face significant financial strain during the summer months. For many of us, this uncertainty has tangible consequences. I, along with several colleagues, have encountered difficulties obtaining loans because this absence of 12-month pay limits our ability to demonstrate stable year-round income. This situation not only impacts our personal financial security, but also has broader implications for our community. Our stability is intertwined with our capacity to deliver the best educational experiences to our students, and our financial stress can detract from the focus and energy required to excel in our roles. I stand here to share a collective concern to remind you that this issue is not going away on its own. We all share a love for this job and a commitment to the well-being of our students. Our request for annualized pay is simply a call for the support we need to continue our work without the looming worry of financial instability during the summer. This is an instability that follows us into the new school year if we are unable to be employed or receive loans and then have to play catch-up or remain in financial hardship if something goes wrong, like a car breaking down. Considering these concerns, I respectfully urge you to consider the petition that was signed by over 1,000 supporters and to hear the voices of your employees. I would ask that you vote in favor of annualized pay tonight. The decision is not just about a paycheck. It is about honoring our commitment to providing quality education by ensuring that every member of our staff can serve our community with full dedication and security all year round. Thank you for your time and understanding.
Thank you, Madison. Our final speaker this evening is Jennifer Kaufman.
Good evening, board members. I'm Jennifer Kaufman, a teacher at Pershing K-8 and a parent of 2 SPS students. You heard my daughter Isabel saying the pledge this evening, and I wanted to speak to you about the importance of annualized pay for our 9-month staff. Annualized pay is more than a choice for some. Being paid over 9 months rather than 12 is isn't just an economic inconvenience. It's a disruption that can affect everything from paying bills to ensuring that children have continuous access to essential healthcare services. A real example that I have personal knowledge of is access to Medicaid for children with special needs or families with low income. Medicaid isn't just another benefit, it's a lifeline that guarantees preventative care, regular checkups, and timely treatment for our most vulnerable children. When families experience fluctuating incomes, it becomes a bureaucratic challenge that can leave children without the care they need. You may be unaware that Medicaid is not free. Many individuals eligible for Medicaid have what's called a spend down. The spend down is similar to a medical deductible. The difference is that it is a monthly amount that must be paid before Medicaid will pick up any cost for services, and it's income-based. There was a time that I had to make a choice between services for my child and working for you as a teacher. At one time, her monthly spend down was more than $4,000. We couldn't access it. It was unattainable. Paying our lowest paid staff off of annualized pay, in fact, increases their paycheck, therefore increasing their spend down, or worse, making their children ineligible for services. There are two reasons that I know of a child that may need Medicaid: disability and low family income. For kids in the latter category, a higher paycheck may mean total ineligibility, where annualized pay could have made the child eligible for services. It's the same pay, but its distribution makes a real difference. For many, consistent income is the key to meeting Medicaid eligibility criteria without the unexpected gaps. When pay changes, so does cost and eligibility. As a special needs parent of one of the sweet kids you witnessed tonight, as a teacher in our district that understands the devastating impacts of inconsistent pay, I implore you to assure we bring back a choice of annualized pay to support the lives and family of our 9-month staff. Annualized pay addresses financial stability, secures essential Medicaid coverage for children, and reinforces our commitment to our lowest paid staff. By ensuring steady year-round income, we're investing in a system that supports learning, stability, and health. I urge you to support returning to annualized pay, not only as a matter of equitable
Thank you,
compensation.
Jennifer. Your time has elapsed.
Thank you.
That concludes our public comment portion of the meeting this evening, which brings us to item 4.01. Jennifer Counts will join us at the podium to share her comments on support staff compensation.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, as you know from my request, my name is Jennifer Counts. I appreciate the opportunity to exercise the rights afforded to me by board policy BDDH and Missouri law. I live in Springfield in the McGregor Westport Parkview portion of the district, and I currently work in behavioral special education with at-risk students in the ABS program. So I am approaching you today not only as a district resident, but as an SPS employee to ask that you reinstate annualized pay. You've already heard from other employees, but I want to summarize the issue as simply as possible. Stability. The loss of annualized pay has created instability for the most financially vulnerable employees in the district. Generally speaking, the staff who are paid hourly have the most modest income of all SPS employees. When we receive straight pay for the hours worked, the amount we receive for each check varies greatly. This variation in net pay makes it virtually impossible to plan and budget. With annualized pay, hourly employees have no variation in the amount they will take home each paycheck, nor is there any variation in the amount that will be withheld for taxes and other deductions. We have a steady income we can depend on. Education. When I discuss annualized pay with people who aren't affected by it, invariably they say, why don't you just save a little out of each check and put it in a savings account? You could even draw interest on it. It's not that the employees don't understand their options. The problem with this plan is that the inconsistency in the amount of our current net paychecks. For example, because we are not paid for most of Christmas break, our net pay last month in January was approximately half of a standard full-time month. These tiny paychecks make it virtually impossible to pay our bills, let alone budget and save for summer when we go for 3 full months with no income. The majority of hourly employees simply cannot survive on half of our typical monthly income, let alone an additional savings deduction being taken out. No amount of training will solve this. Saving and budgeting. Another barrier to employees self-deducting is the difficulty of estimating our biweekly pay. The district website provides a paycheck calculator tool that is helpful, but in my experience, not accurate. Many employees have shared similar experiences of inaccuracy with me. Employees often fall into another tax bracket, so deductions vary. And health insurance premiums also increase because our premiums are now divided over 18 pay periods instead of 24. So while the idea of employees saving money on their own may sound good in theory, in practical application, it is impossible because of our limited means and the unpredictability of our net pay. Autonomy. I've not spoken to a single coworker who does not want to return to annualized pay. Not one. Hopefully, you have seen this through the emails you have received and the public comments that have been made tonight and previously. The employees who have stayed with SPS through the loss of this benefit are, without a doubt, extremely loyal to their students and their employer. Giving employees the autonomy to make this decision for themselves returns this dedication to them. Assistance programs and loans. Hourly employees have experienced the loss of income-dependent programs such as disability benefits for family members, Medicaid, and utility assistance because of the increase in gross pay per check. So although the district thinks they are doing something helpful for employees, the loss of annualized pay is very hurtful. It also affects the ability to get loans in the summertime. Market competition. The benefit of annualized pay is standard for 9-month employees industry-wide, and SPS provided it for decades. When the district decided to take annualized pay away from hourly employees, there was overwhelming negative feedback, and some employees, even long-time employees, were forced to leave and find other jobs. Hourly employees were told that the industry was moving away from annualized pay for us and that none of the other local districts were providing this service for their hourly employees. But at least one adjacent district advertises annualized pay as a benefit for hourly employees, so reinstating annualized pay will keep SPS competitive in the local job market. Returning to annualized pay for hourly employees will require little to nothing from the district, but it will make a substantial difference to the most vulnerable employees during an uncertain time for education. The difference between straight pay and annualized pay is the difference between a hobby and a career. As a dedicated and loyal employee of Springfield Public Schools, I ask you to reinstate annualized pay as an option for all employees. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Are there questions from the board at this time?
Not necessarily a question. I would like to comment. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I didn't even notice.
Your time's starting, so we'll just start with you.
Come on. Yeah, if I can, I'd like to opine on this if I could. You know, analyzed pay has been a long-standing practice for SPS and several decades, serving as a consistent framework for many of our employees. 2 years ago, SPS transitioned away from annualized pay for nearly 1,100 hourly employees. This shift was motivated by external audit recommendations and suggesting that annualized pay may not align with best practices for our hourly staff. While I acknowledge the importance of adhering to best practices, it raises the question who truly benefits from this change. It seems to me that these recommendations prioritize operational standards over the welfare of employees. For 1/3 of our district's workforce, the elimination of annualized payments or pay presents significant challenges, not only affecting job satisfaction, but also undermining the sense of security and annualized pay provides. In our effort to foster a positive and productive work environment, it's crucial to consider the needs and the preferences of our staff. I firmly believe that reinstating the option for annualized pay is not just practical, but it is ethically vital for maintaining trust and morale among our employees. A collaborative approach between administration and staff is essential to achieving the district's strategic goals and objectives. So therefore, I would advocate for the restoration of annualized pay as a best practice that benefits both our employees and our district. Let's work together here to enhance these relationships and create an environment where every employee feels valued and supported. That's my statement, and I would support this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member McCoskey.
I have a question, and then I'm going to give up the rest of my time as I think about the answer. So I'm going to boil it down to, okay, so I heard from all the emails we've received and the email communication and what you've said, 3 areas, 3 barriers, and I just want to make sure that there aren't any that I'm missing. So one is a barrier to budgeting that results from the unpredictability as it is perceived by the employee. The other one is barriers to financing that are pursued through non-traditional or third-party lenders, which sometimes people with lower income who have higher risk loans have to pursue, and also perhaps some banking barriers for people that don't qualify for traditional banking. So that's number 2. And number 3 would be barriers to receiving governmental services, which may be based on a monthly income rather than an annual income. Are there any others? Would that summarize it?
I think that would summarize it. I think in addition, I think when you say barriers to benefits, it would be all benefits, federal, state, county, any kind of benefit that you apply for, whether it's for you or for a dependent in your household, because typically when you apply for benefits, they ask for your last 2 paychecks. So if you're applying for something, say, and your last 2 paychecks were your January paychecks, you're probably going to be okay. But if you're applying for something when you just had 2 full paychecks, you're not going to get approved for any benefits. Or if they do some kind of audit and look back at your history and draw on your larger paychecks, this could disqualify, I mean, not just the adults, but this could disqualify your children for Social Security benefits, for disability benefits. So you could have a disabled child, and they could lose their disability benefits and then in turn lose Medicaid.
Thank you. I may come back, but that's the question I have right now.
Okay, next board member, any questions or comments?
Just ask questions and discussion.
I'm treating this like every other agenda item where every board member gets 2 5-minute periods to speak or ask questions of our presenter. Okay, not seeing any.
Yeah, I'll take a moment. This has been a challenging issue and one that creates certainly a lot of thought on my part and a lot of listening and trying to understand. And as a business owner, I certainly understand the reason why the district made this decision. And I can't fault them for that decision. I probably would have done the same thing. Also, as a business owner, I know that sometimes you got to adapt, and there's other factors that you maybe didn't necessarily see. One of those factors in this case I think is very important is we want our employees to be happy, and we want to be able to hire and retain the best staff in the area and put ourselves in the best position to do that. So as I've kind of contemplated this issue over the year or two that this is discussed on and off, it's clear to me that we certainly can't flip back and forth. And if we put everybody back on annualized pay, I think that would be a problem, and I think that there would be a lot of staff that wouldn't like that. And it's also a problem hiring staff. It can be a benefit to some, but it can be a disadvantage to others for numerous reasons. But it's not as simple as just either we do it or we don't. It hasn't been made entirely clear to me that we can't pursue it as an option for those that want to opt into it. And I know that would be a challenge, and there's a lot to that people probably don't understand, and I certainly don't understand. If you're the ones actually running that payroll and whatever exposure that opens you up to. So it's not clear to me yet that we can't offer it as an option. So I guess that my position on this is that I would ask that the administration continues to explore it as an option as we continue to navigate different changes to our operations or personnel or whatever it is, that we explore it as an option and see if it's something that, seeing as it's something that's so important to so many staff members, if it's something that we can include as an option. And I do not, since I'm not the staff, since I'm not the one overseeing the operations, it's hard for me to say it's just easy to flip a switch, and I really don't think it is. I think it would be actually quite difficult. But I do think it's something that we should pursue because it's clear that it's something that may be beneficial in improving the culture of our staff and making sure that we can hire and retain the best staff. So I certainly would be in support of fully fleshing out the idea of including it as an option.
Can I have some input there?
Absolutely, you got 2 minutes.
So when I first started with the district, and I spoke to Dr. Lathan about this when we met, when I first started for the district, I came on halfway through the school year, and my initial paychecks under annualized pay were tiny, like $500 a month was what I was bringing home. It was really hard. I came on at a time when I was getting ready to move, and so I ended up just moving in with a friend to kind of offset my expenses, and it worked out. Everything worked out for me. I agree with what Mr. Byrne just said. Ideally, it would be an option or maybe a benefit that would kick in on the second year of employment so that for the first year, it wouldn't deter people from coming on partway through the school year. The second year that I was employed and I had annualized pay all through the year, it was excellent. I mean, that was wonderful, especially when it was time for summer school and I had summer school income on top of my regular, bi-monthly paycheck. That was ideal. That was perfect for me. Without annualized pay is barely survivable. It's just really, really difficult. I'm 50 years old. I'm not in a position to get a summer job. I mean, that implies like fast food or something that you can't even do that. It's not that I'm unwilling to do that, but you can't do that for 2 or 3 months and then leave. That's not really even fair to a company, So it's just not a feasible position for us. Yes.
You just stated about when you had annualized pay, how on top of your summer pay was ideal. So during those summer months when you were getting your regular annualized pay plus summer pay, does that not also put you out of eligibility for the kind of services that you guys are discussing?
Personally, my kids are grown. I don't have any dependents in my household. I suppose that it could, but if you were someone who had dependents, summer school's optional. You don't have to work summer school. And I think most employees don't because the summer school positions are limited. I choose to because I enjoy it. So that would be my response to that.
Thank you.
Are there other board member comments or questions? Do you have any? Okay. That brings us back. Did you have any further comments? Okay. That brings us back to you.
This is certainly a very difficult situation. And I've really followed this. We're going almost onto our third year, I think. And I hear the arguments on both sides, and I've taken the time to study them. And I think it's what makes it so difficult is I think we have a situation where differing perspectives are simultaneously correct. I mean, it can happen, and that's where we are today. Like, there's pros and cons for each scenario, right? Whether we flip the switch back or don't. There's pros and cons to both. And if I had to sum it up like Mr. McCoskey did, the way we currently do it, it's best practices and it is better business operationally versus alternatively from the employee perspective, that perceived perspective is what would be best for that employee group. I have to say that, you know, I hear you when you say every single coworker I've talked to would have that. Unfortunately, I, as one board member, I don't really know what percentage of our employees would prefer that. And let me say that by also saying that change is always hard. And in my tenure on the board, whenever there's been change, the people that are impacted negatively, or that's how they perceive it, are very unhappy. And then when time goes by, people find ways to accommodate so that then the system as a whole moves forward. And over time, the complaints subside and everybody sort of finds their place, right? But in this case, I feel like we've gotten past that window, and I am concerned. It's very concerning to me that this is still a sore spot, and I am concerned that it could hurt the culture in our district. So this wouldn't be the first difficult decision. This did come before the board once before as a vote. And with all decisions or things that I'm contemplating, I always, you know, think back to the advice that was given to me by previous board members, which is take the 30,000-foot approach, right? Kind of look back and look at and try to make the decision that's best for the district overall, right? Trying to decide between two different views that are simultaneously correct, what would be best for all of it. And to do that, at least me as one board member, I always look at what's my goal, and my goal is student achievement. So I have some figures here. So, and then of course I consider the community that it impacts, that we impact. So the fact is that almost 60% of our students are not performing at grade level for math. We currently have a state law that requires personal finance as a course for graduation to obtain a diploma. And I know from personal experience that course is not very well executed, not just here, but really anywhere else, mostly because it's offered online. Students can take it very early, and probably more than half the students don't have the numeracy skills to be able to really take advantage of that course. So I think it impacts the individuals, but really down the road, the workforce that we're trying to develop. So with those facts in mind, while I completely understand what the district is positioning and how they're approaching this, and I don't disagree with them, I also understand that we have to meet the workforce where they are as we keep our goalpost in sight. And so my goalpost is student achievement. And in my view, to improve student proficiency, in order to do that, we need the best talent. And so if meeting that talent where they are would mean that we would have to make some concessions on what we optimally desire, then I would be in support of that. So if that's not the will and the desire of the board at this time, but it could be at a future time as the district, you know, changes are continually being made, we're looking at the budget, I would be in support of that. And by that, I mean meeting our employees where they are so that we can have the best culture and the best outcome for our students.
Yes, I think that you're going to definitely see less turnover in hourly employees if you can offer annualized pay. It's just not a stable job. As much as I love working for SPS, every time I get paid without annualized pay, I start thinking about other districts. I start thinking about other career choices, honestly, because it's just not a very practical job.
Thank you.
So in the spirit of my prior statement and being a proponent of offering options, I don't have anything else to say, but I have 5 minutes to offer you. So I will give you an option if you'd like to use that 5 minutes to say anything else. Or you don't have to use all of it or any of it, but I'd certainly want to afford you that if there's anything else you'd like to say.
Well, I was going to add to Dr. Muhammad Khani, if, as far as numbers, I think you could check with Laura Mullins and see, she would know from the union perspective if there has been any feedback from any hourly employees that don't want annualized pay, because you're right, it's not very precise. There's no statistical value in me saying that I haven't heard from anyone. But I doubt, I think that Laura could probably give you a better idea, a broader idea anyway. But I really think that if you want to improve the culture, if you want to restore trust in the organization, that listening to the employees, to your hourly employees, and as I said, sort of returning the loyalty by making our positions feasible and practical for us, I think that's a really good place to start. And it really will, like you said, it really will affect student performance, because a revolving door of employees doesn't do our students any favor. That's not going to help our students with behavior. It's not going to help them with academics. Certainly doesn't support our teachers very well. And I really, the times that I've spoken to the board, which is twice now, I think I might have mentioned it briefly when I spoke to Dr. Lathan. I really didn't want to bring it up when I spoke to the board, because I don't want to be too demanding. But what Mr. Burns said, I feel, is really the optimal plan, which would be to give employees a choice. Michael Ramos is the principal of academic behavior support at my school, and I have talked to him about it, and he is former military, and he told me that in the Army, and he was a personnel guy, he was an HR person in the military, and he told me that the military allows you to pick whether you want to get paid bi-weekly or monthly. And they do it because it's really not that hard, the way that they do payroll. And before I worked in public education, I actually did accounting for Kmart. So I know a little bit about accounting and payroll, and it really is just a matter of how many buttons you're going to push on a keyboard. That really is what it is. It's not that hard to do. We aren't doing payroll like we did a long time ago, where you've got, a visor on and an adding machine, and it's not like that anymore. When you give people a little bit of flexibility, or at least give them, and with behavior intervention, we know that if you at least give people two choices, a choice of two things, then you're empowering them in some way. So if you could at least say, you can opt out of annualized pay until your second year of employment, and then it's a benefit that kicks in, that prevents people from getting hired on in January and seeing the first paycheck and saying, I'm out of here, forget this. Because I can understand why someone might say that. That is the only drawback to annualized pay, is if you come on partway through the year, your first year, and your first checks are going to be really skimpy. That's the only negative. After that first year, it is literally, it's the difference between, for a para, I'm sure for every other hourly employee, it's the difference between your job being a nice hobby for someone who is not the breadwinner in their household, to having, this is a career that I can depend on to support myself or support my household. That's the difference.
So I'll just say, in the last little bit of my time here, I certainly appreciate your willingness to come speak to us tonight, and I know it probably was a lot of work to get this in front of us tonight, and your willingness to do that and advocate for your coworkers. I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jennifer. That leads us to item 5, our consent agenda. This time I'll entertain a motion that the board approve consent agenda items 5.01 through 5.08. Motion from Board Member Thomas Tate. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Board Member Bruner, and at this time we will vote.
I'll do it later. I was going to ask a question.
Does it relate to the consent agenda?
An item on the consent agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so on the student nutrition management expenditures, we got a breakdown of the federal expenses or federal resources that we have. And I previously thought there was just the free and reduced lunch and then a snack program, but there's multiple. Could we at some point see how that relates? Like, I'm just not able to connect the dots. Like, I thought I had connected the dots. Apparently, I haven't. So if we can get a little bit of how it ties into this, like how much of that goes. Do you understand what I'm saying? The millions aren't adding up. So I will ask.
I think she responded to that.
She did, right. But the breakdown is I thought there was just 2 categories, free and reduced lunch, and then after or snack, there was a snack program. But there's like 2 other categories. So if we can get information on that, it doesn't affect.
Federal, just, you want additional information later, I'm guessing.
But is it tied into this? Does it go into this, or is that a separate? Those federal funds, are they tied into this contract? Or are they in a separate bucket that we get? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, I've got to go to my emails and dig it up.
Steve's email?
Steve's email? No, it was my email. Oh, yeah, it was originally his, yeah. Oh my gosh, we had so many emails today. I have to find it.
Yeah.
I can vote without that being answered.
Can we get that answer? Yeah.
It was a yes/no question, but we could do that later.
Okay. We'll proceed with voting. Board Member Byrne, have you voted? Thank you. The motion that the board approve consent agenda passes 7-0. That brings us to item 6.01, and Dr. Range will join us.
Good evening. Pursuant to the Board of Education policy, HA, the district has been negotiating with Springfield National Education Association, NEA, for the last several weeks to bring to you, we've been working on 7 side letters, and 5 of them are sitting in front of you tonight. We will bring 2 more in the March meeting. So the 5 tonight, and all 7 have been ratified. Ms. Mullins notified me this evening that the 2 that are going to come in March, her leadership team ratified today too. We just didn't get those on this agenda. So the 5 tonight are nutrition services, professional school nurses, SISP professionals, support staff professionals, and school police professionals. And so these tentative agreements deal with wages, benefits, and other terms and conditions of employment of the covered employees and their work during the Explore session. In summary, if I could summarize the changes, there weren't a whole lot this summer. In fact, we worked with NEA. We actually didn't meet to negotiate with. This was all done via email. The primary changes were the dates on the side letters. Nurses had some placement priorities, some language there that we tweaked along with their hours. SISP had just date changes. Support staff had both date changes and hourly changes to their side letter. And then school police, there were absolutely no changes to it other than the dates. So that being said, these tentative agreements are as follows, and approval of the Board of Education is hereby requested this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Range. Are there any questions from the board?
I have one question. So these are only, so when I'm looking at, for example, one of the first side letters, it talks about it being explore in the benefits, but the rest of it, it's not like at the top line, but all of these eligible placement location, all that has to do with explore, right?
Yes,
This
these
is
side
limited
letters-
to summer only.
Yes, this is just summer, so this just deals with the Explore session. One of the side letters that we'll bring next month deals with virtual educators, our virtual educators, during the regular school year. So that'll be the anomaly side letter of the 7, but the other 6 will deal with just Explore.
Other board member questions? And just to confirm, this was the agreement that was reached during collective bargaining between SPS administration and SNEA.
SNEA, so they have ratified these 5, they've ratified the other 2 as of today, and we will bring the other 2 in March.
This time I'll entertain a motion that the board approve the Explore collective side letter agreements as presented.
I'll make that.
Motion from board member Mohammed Khani. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from board member Thomas Tate, and we will vote.
We can have Ms. Keller can answer her question, since Sean's coming up anyway. Ms. Kim Keller can answer Marie's question.
Oh, okay, okay. Is she prepared to do that? She's okay. Okay, the motion carries 7-0. That brings us to item 7.01, change orders and agreements, and Mr. Dilday will join us.
So I'm saying she can answer it right.
Oh, right now. Oh, sorry, we're going to take a pause real quick.
Ms. Keller?
Ms. Kim Keller.
She's gonna answer your question.
I was going to have her answer me like later.
Oh, okay, later. Okay,
I
that's
didn't
fine.
pull out I
That's
kind of
fine.
moved on.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
no
okay.
problem. Okay, Sean.
Thank you for being available, though.
Phone a friend there real quick.
Yes.
So this evening, is before you is the change order agreements for the current bond projects. 2 items on there, and both of which are related to the Pipkin Middle School project, $181,710 for testing and observation. So asking for approval from the board this evening.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the board?
Yeah, I would like to ask, just because when I'm reviewing this, this format ahead of the meeting, from the device I'm looking at it on, the totals and the numbers are cut off, and it won't let me see them unless I log in through a different device. So I didn't actually see what the totals were.
On this one.
Yeah, the way it works, like if you're, I found it more easy to review these on my phone, generally speaking, than through the computer. And when you look at it on your phone, it cuts it off. So I didn't see the totals. It's just I don't know, it's weird. You have to like turn your phone sideways. You can't look at it this way. You got to look at it this way. And then if you look at it this way, it won't, like that, since it was too wide, it just cut it off. So anyways, that's why I didn't ask this question before. Can you just give a little background on each of these, and if they were expected expenses or not?
They are expected expenses. On all of our projects, we have to do all of the testing because of the groundwork that we're doing, extensive testing with the Pipkin site because there's so much, so many buildings, so many parking lots. I mean, the testing just goes on and on to ensure that we have a good, solid foundation for the upcoming project.
So the Terracon one's like it's like a geo.
I'm sorry.
That's like a soils test or geo. And then what's the other one? Total air balance.
Total air balancing is for the project. Once we get the HVAC up and running, they do all the balancing, testing, balancing of the HVAC equipment.
So what makes it a change order then, if we were expecting it?
They're listed as agreements.
Oh, you're right.
They're outside of the actual contract, so it's an agreement.
Okay.
Third-party agreement for our testing and balancing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have a question. It's not really a question about this, but about the process. So in the future, when we see these, if it says agreement, it's not really a change. Because I'm noticing that some of them are, okay, so can you just provide an overall view? Because obviously we're building a lot of buildings, and some of us are still, even though this is my 4th year, I wasn't here for this phase of the building. So it comes under change order, and I'm glad he asked, because I was going to ask, is it really a change? Because it doesn't look like a change.
So the document is a change order and agreement document. So part of the listings will be change orders, and that would be affecting the original contract that we have with the general contractor. That'd be a change order adding cost. Third party, like on this particular one, it's third party testing through third party that the district hires, and that would be an agreement with that outside third party company.
Because it's not who we have the contract with, the primary contract. This is a third party. But if in the future it ever were an expense that was unexpected above and beyond what we were expecting, would that be indicated
It'd be indicated as a change order.
as a change and an agreement? Like, this is an agreement, it's also a change.
It-
Do you see what I'm asking?
That first column would say change order instead of.
Right, but sometimes you can have both. Like, something is like, yeah, we expected this expense, but whoopsie, it's twice what we thought it was going to be.
It says change order, it's also an agreement. If it's an agreement, it's not change.
Say that again?
A change order would also be an agreement.
Yes.
An agreement would not be a change order, if it's listed that way in the column.
Order is a change to a current contract versus agreement is a separate.
Third party.
Yeah.
So
So
third
if
party
it says
that we're
agreement,
hiring.
that means that we had already agreed on this amount, or we're agreeing to this amount, and this is what we expected. Is that what an agreement is? It's not about this. I'm just in general asking, as I look at these documents.
So the agreement is, we're hiring an additional company outside of the general contractor. General
Correct.
contractor holds the contract for $50 million. This is companies that we're hiring to do geotesting, air balance testing, those type of things that's over and beyond the general contractor's responsibility. That's the responsibility the district takes.
But it's still within our anticipated budget.
Yes. Okay, because the change orders are things that we'd already agreed to before. It was with the contractor, but
Over-
now they're changing it. So I'm trying to find a way to not ask the question every single time, is this agreement within our expected and anticipated cost? How do I avoid that, or do I just always need to ask that question? Will you just bring it to us if it's not?
How about would you like us to put it in a document that you can actually just have a document that shows the differences? Would that help?
Sure, or if, yeah,
Okay.
or if there is going to be a
Would that
difference.
help?
like- No, I don't need it to be every.
No,
Do you see what I'm asking? It's.
I think what you're asking is, are we staying in our expected
Yes,
budget?
so do I just keep asking that each time?
Yeah, so, but if it says agreement, that doesn't necessarily mean it's expected or not. It's just a new agreement. That's why I asked the question. Like,
that's
was
why
it,
I'm-
was it expected within our
Well,
budget?
I guess I am asking.
So,
I'm
so
gonna
you
ask
want
each
another
time.
column that says whether or
Yes.
not it was expected within the
Yes.
budget or not?
Yes.
I would expect.
But we don't have to do it. I could just keep asking.
But that makes it wider on my
Something
phone,
was
and
outside of our expected budget. It would- If it was extreme.
If it's extreme.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to ask that if there's something that we're seeing here
Hundreds of
that is
thousands, I'm
in
gonna
excess
ask.
of
I'm
what
gonna
we
ask
planned or
everybody.
budgeted, that it just be indicated as such, just for our point of reference.
Okay.
Not a few thousand, but something that's, whoa.
And I think we've seen that a little bit in the past.
When we've had issues.
Yeah.
A good example would be the stage platform.
Yes.
Yes, that was a good one.
Okay. So we can note those.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion from Board Member Mohammed Khani that the board approve the change orders, or approve the agreements as presented. Do I have a second?
Change orders and agreements.
Well, they're just agreements this time. Second from Board Member Provance, and at this time, we will vote. The motion passes 7-0. That brings us to item 7.02, our quarterly bond update.
So hard to believe that we have been 3 months again. But as Tammy gets the slides ready here, It's been 3 months and a lot of progress throughout the district. As you can see, the typical diagram here shows all of the buildings that the 2019-2023 bond projects have touched. We've touched every building of the district. Great benefits for students and staff across the district. Project sequencing, as you know, 4 of our storm shelters out of the 6 are completed. Watkins and Cowden are both, Cowden and Holland are both in progress and should be completed by May. Hopefully we'll have those done before students leave the building for the summer so they can enjoy that space a little bit. Reed Academy, if you've not been by Reed, I say this to everybody, you've got to go by and see the progress. I mean, that building is coming up out of the ground. It's a beautiful building. It's going to be great for the kids and for that neighborhood. Pipkin Middle School is bidding. We should have bids back to the board for approval at the March board meeting. So excited to get that one up and going and look forward to the new building over in that part of town. Pershing Middle School, that one, as you know, Kelly said it on the discussions and Ms. Bruner for CMR, that one is in progress with hopeful recommendation coming to the board in March as well. Again, safety and security across the district is ongoing. Glass film has been completed across the district. Door sensors, access control, cameras, roof sensors, all that's in progress. It's in different phases. Again, another just a sequencing of the current projects we have going on. 11 total projects across the district at this point in time, and a lot of great progress. Financials, we still are very strong on the financials. Projected balances as of January 31st were at $150 million. So sitting really strong with our financials. Field 4 Classroom Edition is up and out of the ground. Wilder also is coming up out of the ground, and these pictures, I'm looking at them now, and that was last week, and they've already changed so much. So Cowden Storm Shelter Gymnasium, that one is close to completion, kind of gives you an overview of it, along with Holland. Well, we're changing fast here. Holland also is looking at a May completion as well. Inside a sneak peek of the inside of the Holland storm shelter. It's going to be a beautiful facility. The kids are going to have some great space to run and have gym class and everything else. So great space. Reed Middle School, that speaks for itself. I mean, that building, our general contractor and architectural firms are doing a great job. Building is coming along and is on schedule. Going to be a nice facility in that neighborhood. Additional pictures of Reed. Last week at that's at the southwest corner of the Reed property. Brick is on part of it. And then the Pipkin Middle School site, just some aerial pictures of what that looks like as of today. That project, our demolition company that will be doing the work, they're going to start fencing Thursday or Friday of this week, and then we'll start seeing buildings coming down probably next week. So excited to get that one going and start getting buildings out of the way. Another picture of the current Pipkin site. And the best part of it is the video.
But before you do the video, do you have a laser pointer?
No, I don't. Oh, yeah, I do.
Can you go to the slide on the Pipkin Middle School site, and can you show, like, where is it? Like, what are we demoing? What's ours? It's those big buildings, right? But it just would help me. Do you
Okay, so what was the question?
If you can outline with your laser pointer what our site is and what we're demoing.
Okay, so.
Yeah, we've seen other views. I've never seen this view.
Okay, so our site. See, it's not showing up on the.
Oh, there it is.
Can you see?
It was there. There it is.
See it on the wall, but not, I can't see it on the screen.
Yeah, I
It's on
see
the
it.
screen.
Yeah, can you? Can you just outline it now?
This would be, this would be lower level.
Yes, so can you?
Across there.
Just go put your finger on the screen.
Okay.
Wait.
Okay, no, it's okay. Just keep
Go
going.
to the screen
Keep
and
going.
Um, There's two houses right here.
Oh,
Demo
those
out.
two houses.
Wow, that's really hard to see. These two houses demo out. And then all of these big buildings, the church, the large warehouse building. Which I lost the pointer again. There it is.
The one on that side?
Across the street.
Thank you,
Is
thank you.
it basically the bottom 60% of the whole?
This,
For a minute. We'll get to it. We're gonna do it over here.
and then these spaces.
I'm just gonna have you draw on my
And Sean
paper
points, you
after
point
the board
to
meeting.
There we go. Okay, let's go back to, she's gonna point here and you point there. Go ahead.
All right.
Never mind. You know what? We'll see it.
Let me provide you a hard copy.
It's okay.
We have lost control of the class.
There's
could
a hard
hear me, raise your
copy
hand.
on the backside also.
But this is yours. I don't wanna take it.
I've got more.
Let's go to the video.
Let's go to the video.
Okay, are we playing the video?
We are.
So as you can tell, a lot of progress across the district and a lot of great projects going on, so.
All right.
Do I have any questions I can answer?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Okay. I'm sure the next quarterly bond update will be right around the corner. Yes, it's in a quarter, yes. Seems to fly by. Okay, that brings us to item 8.01, our superintendent's update.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. So just a few things. I know we've heard a lot tonight about annualized pay and discussions about the decision that we made 3 years ago to move a lot away from annualized pay. And we've heard the pros and cons. We've heard from both sides. We've listened over the past several years. And I know there's an opinion that it would be simple of, like I said, flipping a switch or someone going in and manually, easily typing in a quick program to change that over, but that is not the case. And as we focus on getting prepared for the 25-26 school year, our practice will continue to be what we have implemented over the past 2 years. When I think about culture, I think about the fact that for 6 days this school year, or this semester, we had snow days. And I made the decision that we would still pay all of our hourly and operational staff at a time when we, speaking of weather and AMI, and we're going to talk about AMI, there's not an opportunity that we have to right now at this point make up days. And so that could have been 6 days of lost pay. But for me, that was saying we do value our employees. We'll show you that we care by continuing to pay people, because that would have been a short check in January, because we had 2 days in January and the 4 days last week that will impact the next pay. And so I want to be clear that we do value our employees and we appreciate everyone, but we made an operational decision that is in the best interest for our district. Now, does it impact people? Yes. And there will be times that we will be on opposite sides of some tough decisions. And we have tough decisions to make as we move ahead in the upcoming school year and future years. There are a lot of uncertain things going on right now. As it relates to our economy, as it relates to different rules and regulations that we might have to follow over the next several years. And so we will continue to budget conservatively so that we are able to make the necessary salary and wage benefits and afford our staff members opportunities in the future as we prepare our budgets. And so just want to, for that to be at the forefront, that for 4 years now, staff members have been paid on snow days. And so we could actually calculate that amount too, to say, this is a way that we show people that we care, and we will continue to do our best to show people that we care, and we value every employee in our district. And I want to take a little time also to talk about AMI, because I've heard a lot of questions. So last fall, well, first of all, let me go back to when the board approved the calendar for the 24-25 school year. So that was last February in 2024. At the time when the calendar was approved, Senate Bill 727 had not been passed. It was, I think, in discussions, and it was passed in the last legislative session. So that impacted how we were, at the time when you approved the calendar, it was around hours. And so now we're required around not only hours, but also 169 school days. And so we had to modify our plans and implement AMI. We sent those packets home in December. And we sent information, actually we started sharing information at Parent-Teacher Conference. Then we sent out information to parents in December. And I do recall that we've sent out something in a weekly update that goes out on Thursdays as it relates to inclement weather. So prior to, like I said, the board approved the calendar in 2024, February 2024, and then Senate Bill 727 passed in May of 24. So we will continue with AMI days. We do have 2 more days that we can utilize, or yes, 2 more days, because last week we heard we could get a 6-day as it relates to AMI. Now, our pre-K students have used all of their allowable days. Pre-K students start 2 days after the regular school year. So everyone starts on a Monday. Pre-K starts on a Wednesday. And so that's why pre-K had to start their AMI days earlier. It is not to take away family time, sledding time, or hot cocoa time. I like my hot cocoa on a snow day also. But it is so that we are meeting the requirement, and it does impact funding because we are funded on attendance. And so if students complete those AMI packets, we're able to count them present for those days. So 4 days last week for all other students, we were able to, if those students brought those packets back, count them present. So we just want to make sure that that's clear. I'm going to ask also communications team to put that information again in the weekly update that will go out on Thursday to parents. But just wanted to make sure you're aware. I would like to thank our operations team. That's our building and grounds, our maintenance, custodial, transportation, because even on those days, they're out trying to get out to our campuses. They are police services, making sure our buildings are secure, our parking lots are cleared. And so just a thank you for those staff members that still had to come in and provide the overall operational support for our district. So very special thank you to those staff members. Finally, we had to cancel principal for a day that was scheduled on February the 18th. We have rescheduled it. It will be this Friday, February 28th. So we're excited to welcome our community leaders on our campuses. At this time, board members, that concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Lathan. That moves us to item 9.01, board comments. Are there board member comments at this time?
I would like to take this opportunity to talk about Section 504 of the Americans with Disabilities Act and some of the ongoing legal challenges related to Texas versus, I think it's Becerra or Becerra, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, that has significant implications for disability rights and the protection of education, healthcare, and beyond. So if you're not familiar, the 504 is a civil rights law that protects people with disabilities from discrimination in programs, services, and activities that receive federal funding. This includes schools, hospitals, public agencies, and workplaces. The law ensures that individuals with disabilities have access to all of these different kinds of services and that it requires reasonable accommodations. So like for students in schools, they have to provide students with disabilities the supports they need to access learning through a 504 plan, which outlines necessary accommodations. And these are really important for our students in the schools, and it also extends to colleges and beyond in the workplace. The Texas versus Becerra is a lawsuit that is currently started by Texas, but 17 states, including Missouri, have filed lawsuit against the U.S. government in an attempt to overturn the updated Section 504 regulations and ultimately eliminate Section 504 together. This would have significant negative consequences on our students. The lawsuit in particular was prompted after the reauthorization of the 504 part by the previous administration that in the reauthorization has added additional language that includes populations that are currently disputed with regards to whether or not they deserve protections. And because of that, these protections against discrimination for students and provide them with accommodations will be stripped away. And I think they're calling it unconstitutional, and they're saying that they want to get rid of not just those protections, but the whole 504 as discriminatory. And I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. There was supposed to be a case today dealing with it. I don't know what happened with that case today. There's currently a stay on that. But if you are at all interested in disability rights and protecting students in special education, I encourage you to contact the Attorney General for Missouri and let him know why the 504 is important and why we need to maintain the 504 for our students.
Thank you, Board Member Thomas Tate.
So on the heels of that comment, I just wanted to ask a question, and feel free to answer once I ask it, because I'm not well studied on this particular case or this issue, but I did receive some questions from some concerned parents about this within the last couple of days. So should the result, and maybe you don't know, I don't know, but it's just a question I have. I'm curious if you know the answer. Should the result of that case overturn those sort of 504 protections, would that mean that it's no longer a requirement, or that the district could no longer continue with the same actions that they were doing under the 504 program? Would that mean that they could not do that, or that they would just no longer be required to by the federal government?
It means that they would no longer be required to provide those accommodations from the federal
So it would be a choice on SPS of if we want to maintain those or change those, potentially do new programs or whatever, but it would give us the authority or the control to make those decisions for ourselves without the federal government saying, this is exactly how you have to do it.
However, it also doesn't, if we remove the federal guidelines, it doesn't prescribe who is covered by these actions. And so it may offer limitations on certain populations that may be impacted negatively by the district.
Is there funding associated?
There's not funding. This is an unfunded mandate, unlike IDEA, which is funded by the federal government.
Okay, thank you.
So this doesn't impact IDEA. This is just for 504.
It can have implications for IDEA because the students who don't qualify for services under IDEA often get 504 plans.
504s. Would you mind sharing this case?
Yeah.
Could you text or email? Thank you.
Do you have any comments? Do you want to? Yeah.
I'd like to talk about the annualized pay. It's very difficult when you have to draw a line and then you have to get on one side or the other. I always prefer to draw two lines. You can get in the middle and you can work it out. This seems like this is a line. And, but still you can see both sides. I did not understand the Medicare issues based on monthly income. And I know that it would be difficult to have the federal government understand that, work around that between a 9 and a 12-month paycheck. I think a lot of the other things, and I truly believe that the city of Springfield does support the Springfield Public Schools. You're looking through the city as a business. Springfield Public Schools, they carry $1. Surely there's going to be a credit union, there's going to be a bank, there's going to be some way that can help. I heard on the news the other day that 25 to 30% of the population has 2 to 3 jobs at one time. I don't know why I thought that that was a high number, because teachers do that. I had the opportunity to coach. I love that. I never looked at that as a job, but summer school and working other hours. I understand that sometimes one paycheck can't carry. I really appreciate the fact that there were opportunities for extra summer work through the schools. And then I totally understand that some of those jobs are not appropriate. I like to paint, but that doesn't mean everyone's willing to climb on a ladder, and I face planted off a ladder. It's got a downside. PinMac, the fact that they're willing to hire. We represent great employees. When PinMac can offer us some extra hours, there is, and I look at this and I'm going, okay, so I see both sides. And I appreciated the opportunity earlier today when we had the opportunity to visit with some of the SPS lawyers, our representatives that help us in any type of legal decision. I'm not a lawyer. I don't understand. But we hired them and we trust them. And therefore, I feel like I need to follow their opinions on the issues when we talk about our accounting firm. Yes, we can make mistakes. There's 1,100. You get into overtime, you get into short weeks. It changes the pay scale. It's not the same all the time. And if we make a mistake, it's our mistake. If we overpay, we won't get that money back. But if we underpay, it is our responsibility. So based on the facts that, the two facts, that our accounting sees that we need to stay the course, and that our legal advice tells us to stay the course. I am not 100% satisfied with that decision, but I feel like that's the best decision for the district. It is so hard to make a decision when you look at someone's face, and it hurts. And I need to be reminded that the school district is large enough that the big picture counts, and the benefit for the district moving forward. I would much rather see more pay and more benefits, and make that my goal for staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Provance.
Did you have an idea? Wow. I also will have a couple of comments about the annualized pay, because I know it's a sensitive issue. It can be a polarizing issue. It can be a legal issue. It can be a gut-wrenching issue. And I appreciate all the perspectives that have been shared, not only from the speakers, Ms. Counts, thank you, also the information from Dr. Lathan, always very helpful. And it is hard. And Board Member Provance, I just want to call you Susan. You know, when you say it's hard to look at people's face and say this, you are absolutely correct. And we're all human, and we have, I mean, if I could wave my wand and make everybody happy, I would love that. But it's a tough one. So I don't want you to think that my lack of comment earlier meant any sort of disconnect between what was being said or what was being shared, because I do respect everybody's opinion. I also echo about the snow days. I want to thank parents and staff and students, because I'm sure by Friday, parents were going, isn't it time to go back to school? And I get all that. But I think the right decisions were made considering the weather conditions that we had. I suspected as a former educator that, or an employee of R12, that the AMI days would cause some confusion, and I think they did. But the districts all around us have been doing it. They've worked through the kinks. We will work through the kinks as well, because it is a good decision, and it is about the learning. And yes, they can still go out and play in the snow. The bond projects, oh my goodness, is that impressive? It just, honestly, it gives me goosebumps to see all of that coming and bubbling up, and from the video to the PowerPoint to all of that. It's just so impressive. So thank you for presenting it. Thank you for overseeing it. It really is, it's wonderful. I am glad, on President's Day, I went to Studi Alternative School, to the Empty Bowls event, where their students make lunch for us. And our donation, you can get a ceramic bowl made by students, and they are using it to provide funding to homeless shelters and food for those that need it. It's a worthy cause. It's a wonderful event. So next year on President's Day, get over there to Studi. It's wonderful. And, you know, it was very cold last week. We don't need heaters anymore, do we? The weather has been a real surprise. It's enough to make me want to go plant a garden, where I'm going to have lots of lettuce in the garden, because I'm going to try to lose the weight that I gained last week while I was at home for 5 whole days drinking that hot cocoa. So anyway, I want to end with, I love this book. I already had a copy of it, but now I have 2. But I want to read to you my very favorite poem in here, and it's entitled Monday. It's on page 49. Monday. Overslept, rain is pouring. Missed the bus, Dad is roaring. Late for school, forgot my spelling. Soaking wet, clothes are smelling. Dropped my books, got them muddy. Flunked a test, didn't study. Teacher says I must do better. Lost my money, tore my sweater. Feeling dumber, feeling glummer. Monday sure can be a bummer. So maybe that's what the students were thinking on Monday in terms of heading back to school. But take the time to read this book. They are wonderful poems, and poetry is a real gift to us. And we have truly a national treasure here in our own community with David Harrison and Dr. Knight. So thank you to them for taking the time to do this, and for having the vision, and for sharing their wisdom and their vision with us.
Thank you. Yep.
I want to be careful what I say, because I'm quite perturbed right now. I think this is ridiculous where we are right now with annualized pay. I think we should have annualized pay. It should be an option for us. We can make all the excuses. We can talk about legal counsel advising us. Just because we have legal counsel doesn't mean that we go in the direction of legal counsel. It's just counsel. That's all it is. Now, these people need the support, and they want to be part of this team. And by golly, we should be stepping up to help these people. All these pleasantries and sugarcoating and all that, you know, we have to make tough decisions, and we do have to face our people. And I think this board should act on actually aiding to reinstate annualized pay. Now, I don't want to say any more because I'm just upset about this whole thing, and I don't want to say something that I may regret. But by golly, bring annualized pay back.
Thank you, Board Member McCoskey. Any further, did you have?
I did want to make a.
Did you have anything?
Thank you, Steve, for your comment. Thank you for reminding me about Studi's empty bowls. And as I often do when I go to events, I self-invite myself. So I've been invited back to paint these bowls with the staff. Yes, I can arrange for I somehow wrangle an invitation. I have zero artistic ability, but apparently there's need for more bowls than the students can put out. So they have an evening where the staff or the community members can go, and I'm going. I want to make a comment about the comment I made the last time, which had to do with the legislative priorities of the district and all that. And I want to thank, I guess, the board, Dr. Lathan and Mrs. Bruner. And this email came today, so I don't know if all the board members have seen it yet. But I just want to say that I'm very pleased. I think that I would like to invite everybody to participate. The board is planning a visit to Jefferson City, and it looks like there's a board retreat. It would be nice to have a board quorum. I know the timing is, and this will be announced in due time, but I know the timing isn't when we're used to it, and it's during the day, so it could interfere with everybody's normal activities and job duties. But I would like to, as one board member, invite everybody to partake, because I think it would be a really, really good journey. We could come up with a great product, and if we don't, at least we're dipping our toes in the water so that we could swim down the road. And then there's something else that's planned, and I don't want to talk about that as it's not fleshed out yet. And I want to say that I really appreciate that there's already 2 bills that we're going to be looking at this retreat, and there's an opportunity for us after our visit in Jefferson City to bring other bills to the table. So I want to invite everybody to be an active participant if you can. And if you can't, I would love to carry your, I'm not a legislator, but I'd love to carry your bill to said retreat if you're not able to make it. Please talk to me, and I will do my due diligence and learn about your bill and understand it.
Thank you, Board Member Mohammed Khani. Any further board comments at this time? Okay. All right. That leads us to item 9.02, upcoming meetings. Our next meeting will be a combined meeting due to spring break earlier in the month. So March 25th of 2025, we'll have our combined study session and regular meeting. And that brings us to item 10.01. This time I'll entertain a motion that the board adjourn this evening's meeting.
So moved.
Motion from Board Member Thomas Tate, second from, was that Board Member Byrne? Yep, okay. And at this time, we'll vote. Board Member Byrne. The motion that the board adjourn carries 7-0. We will see you next month.